Best of R/ Tales from Retail episode 110. Subscribe for edit videos daily. I've been in my job at a small branch of a popular UK grocery store for around 5 years so far. I've worked just about every job in every department at some point, so, not to toot my own horn, it's very rare these days that I make a mistake, and even rarer that I don't immediately know how to fix any minor mistake I do occasionally make. As such, anytime a mistake does happen, it annoys me much more than it really should. I made a mistake about a fortnight ago. Our store was offering free Easter eggs as a goodwill gesture to any NHS worker that wanted one, and so when I was serving a regular customer who I noticed for the first time happened to work in that profession, she was wearing an NHS lanyard at the time, I obviously offered her one. The problem came when, distracted by making light conversation and on muscle memory alone, I accidentally scanned the Easter egg and charged her for it instead of processing it free of charge! Exclamation point. About 5 minutes after she left, I suddenly realized the mistake I'd made. I felt so bad that I had my manager double check the till records and put a note in the store diary too. The customer often collected non-food orders delivered to store, so I remembered her name and knew she'd be in soon enough for the issue to be rectified. Yesterday, it finally happened. She came back into store. I recognized her, and after a brief and slightly awkward interaction that resulted from me remembering her name off the top of my head, I confirmed her identity and explained my mistake. She was a little confused at first, but ultimately delighted as she hadn't realized my mistake initially. I made sure I served her at the till, refunded the original Easter egg and gave her an extra one free too. In the end, she was so delighted that I'd remembered and been able to correct such a minor mistake. I'd overcharged her by literally £2. She commended me to my managers, but more important for me was finally getting to correct the silly wee mistake I'd made so long ago. Thank you. Next. I work at a grocery store, and since people kinda need food to survive, I have a lot of regulars. Most of them are wonderful people, and seeing them come through my self-checkout absolutely makes my day. Then there's the ones that make my blood boil at first sight. Cereal guy. Cereal guy comes shopping one day. I was on self-checkout and it had been a busy night. I was scanning out damaged when this nasty sauce jar spills all over the floor. I panicked because it's spreading over the entire walkway to exit my U-scan. I was frantically trying to contain the spill when I heard an oh too familiar voice yell for help. I turned to him, motioned towards the spill and said, "I'll be over in a minute. I've got my hands full here." I cleaned as fast as I could. The entire time he was loudly sighing and grumbling. I finished and headed over to him. Convo went like this. Me. "Hi, how can I help you?" CG. "Well, that took long enough." Me. "I apologize. I was cleaning that spill." CG. "I put my card in, put my pin in, but it's stuck on processing. I don't know what's going on." Me. "You have to hit the card button on the screen. Otherwise the pin pad won't accept the payment." CG. "I did hit that button." Me. "Sometimes you have to push it harder. You must not have pressed it since it didn't go through." CG. "I hit the button." Me. "Hits card button, you'll have to put your card back in and read your pin." CG. "But I already did that 4 times." Me. "You must not have hit the card button." CG. "Yes, I did." Me. "You couldn't have, otherwise it would have worked." CG. "Yes, I did." Me. "You did not hit the card button." CG. "Yes, I did." Me. "It doesn't look like you did." CG. "Yes, I did." Me. "Obviously you didn't, because if you had, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. You can put your card back in now and it will go through." At this point I walked away. He asked for my name and I said, "Oh, would you like to see a manager?" He said he would, so I went and got my supervisor who loves me. He told her I was very short with him, which I don't understand because I was going back and forth with him for 5 minutes. We had a good laugh about it later. Thank you. Next. Today is the busiest day of our entire year because of students moving at the end of the April. Due to the pandemic, we've shut down all but 2 registers, and due to a sprained ankle, the new girl is monopolizing one of them and the other is occupied by the kid that shows up a half hour early every day even though the manager keeps telling him not to. So I'm doing everything that requires leaving the room. That means I'm carrying out bundles of boxes, hooking up trailers, troubleshooting people's tow wiring in the parking lot, and doing the extra long sanitation routine on return trucks. It's pouring rain. I am soaked and exhausted, and running back and forth across the lot as fast as I can to try to keep the pileup of nonsense from turning into an avalanche of idiots, and trying to keep the wind from blowing the dripping plastic sheets off the tops of the pallets of boxes I'm dragging up the ramps. But at least my throat is well and properly sanitized from breathing in the fumes from all these new cleaners. Damn, this stuff burns. There's an awning over the front door where customers are lined up, all of them cheating a bit at the social distancing to stay out of the rain. As I'm passing by, I hear one of them complaining, "You know, I came right when my reservation was so I wouldn't have to wait. But here I am waiting." It's a stupid thing to say on a good day, but today, I don't engage. I've got things to do. Excuse me, he calls a bit later. Sadly, I'm walking towards him at the time and the rain is temporarily quieted to a drizzle, so I can't pretend not to hear him. "Hey, what's up?" I ask it flatly, but not rudely. Just enough edge to encourage him to skip to the punchline instead of giving me some kind of dramatic backstory. Miraculously it works and he spits it right out. "I've been waiting here a long time. My reservation was for a half hour ago." I don't bother correcting his inflation of the 10 minutes he's been here and just respond, "Yeah, we're very busy. There are a lot of people moving today." I raise my eyebrows in a "so what's your point?" expression. Well, I don't appreciate being kept waiting. I look at the rest of the line of people all waiting outside. They've been listening to our half-shouted conversation partially from boredom, and partially because they really don't have a choice. So, since they're a part of this, I decide to address them. "Excuse me everyone, but this man is very disappointed that you're all here. So, is there anything you'd like to say to him?" Silence. Awkward stares. Water drips from the bill of my cap. I look back at him and shrug. Well, I tried. I quickly splash off through the puddles. Hope he didn't give them too much trouble inside. "Thank you." Next. "Hi, not sure if this counts. I've never had a paid retail job. Applied for a few but never got them. Eventually got basic office job, been there ever since. But I did used to volunteer in a charity shop. What worse than dealing with difficult customers? Dealing with them for free to help boost your CV. So every week we had this woman in her 80s come in and say the exact same thing. This is not a specific incident but pretty much summaries every encounter, and dialogue is not exact as it was years ago. Me is me. This sol snobby old lady, a lady who seemed to think she was visiting a posh boutique. M is manager. So I'd be at the counter and up she doesn't. Me. Sol, is the manageress in please? Seriously, manageress lady, where do you think this is? Me. No, I'm sorry. How can I help you? Sol, I want to purchase these items. Me. Okay, no problem. Sol, I cannot pay for them all today, so hold these two for me. Me. I can hold them for one night only. After that we have to put them back on the floor. Sol, I will be back to collect them. Me. As I said, we can hold them for one night. That's all we can do. A week passes. Sol, hello, I'm here to collect the items I reserved. Me. I'm sorry they have been sold. Sol, but you said you would hold them. Cue me trying in vain to very politely remind her of our discussion and past incidents. She then asks to speak to the manageress, so my manager, who yes is female, comes. Sol explains and I explain. Manager. Oh, I'm so sorry. We will try to be more careful. This happened every time. The manager knew I was right but kept pacifying this lady again and again. Still, it was the worst thing about the store. That and a rude assistant manager, so it could have been worse. Still, my sympathy to all retail workers who literally depend on the job. At least as a volunteer I was free to leave. Thank you. Next. A customer came to my register with, among other items, 2 12-packs of paper towels and 3 24-packs of TP. I let the customer know that TP is limited to 2 packs. She starts to argue. Customer, I need all 3 packs. Me, I'm sorry but the limit is 2 packs per customer. Customer, I have 3 people living in my house. I reiterated the 2-pack limit and moved 1 pack to the empty register behind me. Does anyone know how badly I wanted to say really, and you each need your own private pack of TP? But, I didn't, because I am, at the core, a good and obedient retail drone. And, honestly, What is she going to do? Ask for a manager? She wouldn't get the third pack and she knew it. I did tell one of the supervisors a little later when I had the opportunity. He just laughed. Pretty anticlimactic compared to most TP stories that I have read or listened to. I just think that the excuse is hilarious and none of the more creative that I have encountered personally. Thank you. Next. I was reading some comments on another post about customers bending realities to suit them and then this happened to me today. I work at a spa with a large retail store that, due to COVID, is now closed except for online product orders where you can choose contactless pickup or delivery. I am the sole employee in the building. It's like Home Alone but with a paycheck. Until our website shop gets up and running, customers have been emailing in orders. I get their order form, I check inventory, put together their order, email them a total, then their stuff goes into one of 3 boxes, payment pending, pickup or delivery, rinse and repeat 4 days a week. A well-oiled machine. The machine is me and the fuel is tea. This one customer sends us an angry email this morning stating she had emailed us over a week ago and would appreciate a response if we wanted her business now and when we reopen. Now I know this client. She has been a regular for years. She sent us 3 separate emails because she changed her mind about what she wanted. I specifically remember calling and leaving her a message on her voicemail which was absolutely her machine because she clearly stated her name and her own voice on the machine about her order because we didn't have most of it in stock and, due to that particular company's shutdowns, didn't know when we would get more in and offered her alternatives. I also checked the redial list and sure enough, it shows her phone number Tuesday morning about a half an hour after I got there. Now I know days are kinda blending together but I knew that wasn't from early last week. I checked her first email to us. It was Saturday night late in the evening. Even if I hadn't contacted her whatsoever until today, that means 5 days. One could define over a week ago as at least 8 days so she was just a few days short. And by one I mean me and anyone with a brain and at least 8 fingers. I forwarded her original email back with the date and time sent highlighted, apologized for the confusion, which is Emily's for I'm sorry you're an idiot, and told her I had called Tuesday because I know as sure as God's got sandals that this would have turned into an email chain spanning 3-5 business days instead of a nice 45-second phone call. It would be more personal to call her with alternative options due to limited stock, then asked her to let me know how she would like to proceed with her order. She emailed back saying she would purchase online elsewhere since we were out of stock. No mention of the voicemail I left her. Sips tea angrily. Thank you. Next. Nice short one from when I put my foot in my mouth. 15 years ago I was working for one of the big 3 independent mobile phone retailers in the UK. This middle-aged looking woman came in for a new contract, so after settling on a phone/plan, we sat down to do the paperwork. She was using her driving license for her ID, but had one of the old-fashioned paper ones. You didn't need to exchange them for the photographic ones unless you changed address or got a ticket. The old paper ones were quite large, so had to be folded a billion times to fit in a wallet, and as they were typically quite old at this point, they were very worn. I spent a minute or 2 gingerly unfolding this moth-eating piece of origami, trying not to rip it, and just as I see the date of issue, 2 days after I was born, she says sorry, I know it's old. Without thinking I say yeah, it's almost as old as I am. Madam was not amused. Still got the sale and commission though.